Hello dear educators. All the teachers want to teach the content very interestingly to the student. How is this possible to have a structured way? Or sometimes it so happens when the teacher goes into the classroom, she might miss out on the structure. How to start the lesson and how to end it, what's the formative assessment which is associated with it. For that, many a times in order to avoid confusion, some of the teachers will plan to use some fillers. This will definitely be a waste of time. But if at all we can have a structured way of lesson planning and the aim and the activities in its place, it will be very interesting and time saving for the teachers. The facilitation has to be done anyway. But if the content is in a structured way, the teachers will enjoy teaching the content. Do we really have a structure for the lesson planning? Hi, I am Dr. Padmavati Tungaturthi from Teach Connect. I am a quality education specialist. I am on a motive of improving the quality of the teachers through their professional development. For that, one of the videos which I would like to present to you today is how to structure the lesson planning. For that, if we take the basic template of lesson planning, it should first consist of the learning outcomes. Learning objectives is what the teacher would want to convey to the student, whereas learning outcomes is what the students will be able to understand. A bigger learning outcome, for example, if we take the CBSE board, from CBSE board there is a booklet in collaboration with NCERT, the learning outcomes, which are beautifully channelized. Every learning outcome, maybe we can have 3 or 4 specific learning outcomes. It should first consist of the learning outcomes. In order to create that definite learning outcomes from the student should be able to do the content and deliver the content, understand the content. For that, the learning outcomes or the specific learning outcome. Specific learning outcomes are small learning outcomes from the big learning outcome. Every day what you are going to deliver is a specific learning outcome. For example, if we are talking about plants and photosynthesis, if photosynthesis is the content for the learning outcome, how the food is made by plants and how in general food is made by these plants. This is the content for the bigger learning objective. Now, how the student will understand the content is to divide this into the conditions favorable for the photosynthesis, how big a plant should be, from when does the photosynthesis takes place. That means the leaves have to be formed, isn't it? For that, the teacher has divided the photosynthesis content into 2 different chunks. It can be 2, 3 or 4 depending on the student's level of understanding. If we are able to have that specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and time-bound learning objective and the learning outcome, what the teacher would want to convey is a learning objective. Then we can go into the introduction. Maybe we can grab a story in order to tell how the plants need a photosynthesis, or we can show a question to the students, pose a question, and or we can also have visual content in order to have and work as a hook. Then we will also work on real life examples, as many examples depending on the neighborhood where the school is placed, from which area the students are coming in, what is their interaction of level. We can always have a hook for continuing or starting the content. Now, the learning strategies have to be defined. Now, what are you going to do? The teacher has that liberty only in this activity stage. Should it be in the form of a discussion? Should it be in the form of a sports integrated learning, art integrated learning, toy-based pedagogy, experiential learning, interdisciplinary learning or multidisciplinary learning? The teacher has that freedom in this activity content. If we are able to have that specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and time-bound learning only in the activity content, this is a real sharp tool which the teacher has. From there, the teacher can map the content for these diverse learners. Definitely, there will be 3 different kinds of major groups in the classroom that we cannot avoid it. How are we going to have an activity plan for these diverse learners. Always focus on, it is not a thumb rule, but always focus on at least 2 different groups of students. If at all really you need 3 different groups, make 3 different groups in the classroom. Then for these 3 different groups, we can give activities. Maybe we can divide them into low achievers, average achievers and high achievers. This is an old style. We can also have the work done in the form of say visual learners, auditory learners and kinesthetic learners. How are the children going to learn visually and auditory? If at all the children want to listen to something, look at something and have kinesthetic learning, do hands-on, this is how we can divide it. Not always based on the level of intelligence of student. This can be picked up from theory of multiple intelligences by Howard Gardner. Now the next one is, how are we going to have that pace in learning? What is the incorporation of technology incorporated into the lesson plan? Is the technology good enough for the students for that particular level, or are you interested in using any gamification for learning the content? Gamification should be one such lesson plan and activity. Maybe if you have 100 activities, we can plan for 10 such activities for gaming and learning for the student. Then if you incorporate this technology, we can as well go into inquiry based learning, always asking questions to the student. We cannot say or depend on chalk and talk, because this will only be one way of learning. Then we can go into assessment and reflecting. Inquiry based learning, slowly we have to build up the question. For example, say if we are talking about the favorable conditions for growing the plants, then what are the conditions which we can ask the student? Now, what's the atmosphere looking like today? Do you see sun in the sky today, or is it very dark? Now, are you feeling that breeze? If you don't have any breeze around, if you don't feel breeze, then how are you going to survive? In the same way, living things need breeze or wind in order to survive. Now, what are the content? What are the different types of gases we have in the atmosphere? From there, we can pick up a question or important content like sunlight, water, moisture, as well as the carbon dioxide in the air. Now, what's the atmosphere looking like today? Do you see sun in the sky today, or is it very dark? Now, are you feeling when it is carbon dioxide in the air, the sunlight warmth is there? How do you feel when you feel chill? Do you feel like walking around? Do you feel that there is energy? We can as well build up the questions for the student and then incorporate that if at all you are living, then only we can make food and eat. And for example, plants cannot make food without leaves, because leaves are the segments where food can be made. We're talking about general plants, or we're not talking about desert plants. Normally we start the conversation off. That's how we have to understand the favorable conditions, bringing and eliciting answers from the student. Therefore, if at all we look into the total content and components of the structured lesson plan, we need to have learning outcomes, then we need to have the resources, then we have to have activities. From activities, what is this activity learning for diverse students? Then the lesson assessment should be conducted. What questions you should pose? Just 2 or 3 questions for students in order to elicit the answers from them and understand. That's a reflection for the teacher to understand that there is a lesson well understood by the students. Therefore, this is how assessment has to be conducted for students. Just oral assessment. From there, the teacher has to reflect back on how the lesson was received by the student. This particular structure of the lesson plan template will allow students to inquire, learn. This is one inquiry based kind of lesson plan template. Overall, the lesson plan templates remain the same, but we have to see that the students' activities are changed in order to see that they enjoy the lesson plan during the classroom. Thanks so much for watching. Hope I have cleared the doubts for the students and for the teachers as well, or those who are watching this video, as to what are the steps and how these steps can be changed suiting to the needs of the student. Right? Thank you so much for watching. Wait for my next video on further clarification about the lesson plan and how to manage the classroom for the lesson plan. Thank you so much. Keep watching Teach Connect channel.